So the Get It Right initiative's goal is to eliminate error by working with industry partners to create a culture of getting it right from the start. Now, changing culture and changing behaviours across the construction industry requires looking at it through the whole project life cycle and getting people to think about reducing the cost of error. Now, when we talk about changing culture and behaviours, then we need to, as organisations, watch out for certain pitfalls. Now, what are those pitfalls? And how does the GIRI process actually help avoid them? Well, I'd like to start with us all acknowledging that change, particularly cultural change, is not quick and it's not easy. And to think about this, I'd like you to all just think about a time in your life when you were looking at changing your lifestyle in some way. Perhaps you were looking to eat better, get fitter. Or if you think back to the last time you made a New Year's resolution, how did that go for you? Because change isn't easy. And yet, despite the fact that we know from a personal point of view how hard change can be, at a business level, we often expect whole organisations to change almost overnight. We develop an initiative, we do a big launch, and send out that compulsory company-wide email. And then, job done. So, what's the mistake here? Well, what a lot of change programs forget to do is think about the people and the psychology of change. And when we talk about the psychology of change, there's a great model which demonstrates this quite well, which is called the trans-theoretical model, sometimes better known as the stage of change model. And as you can see, this is made up of 5 stages. There's pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Now, we're going to walk through these stages with the help of my friend Dexter here. Now, Dexter is in pre-contemplation mode. He sees no problem with his lifestyle. He's quite happy with it, quite comfortable. He doesn't want to change. He doesn't even see the need for change. But over time, he eventually thinks, well, perhaps this lifestyle isn't great for me. Perhaps I need to look at doing something differently. So he's starting to contemplate, but Dexter's still not ready for change at this stage. He will eventually move to preparation. Now this can take weeks, months, or even years sometimes. But he moves into preparation mode and he's going to exercise, so he buys himself some new trainers and he starts to plan. Now, before we carry on with Dexter's experience here, I'd like to just reflect on these 3 stages. Because in business, when we're looking at change, often those developing the change have spent quite a while in going through these stages and they're ready to launch. They're ready to go into action. The problem with that is everybody else is still where Dexter started, in pre-contemplation mode. So, Dexter eventually moves into action. He's done his plan and he's moving into action. He starts to run. He goes to the gym. He's eating healthier. But it's hard at first. And over time, he realizes what works for him and what doesn't. And slowly but surely gets better. Now, this is another point where businesses sometimes stumble. because they spend 6 months on a project, developing it, and then they do a big launch, and then wonder why it's not quite gone as planned. Well, that's because action is not the final stage. The action stage is what I call the trial and error stage. This is where we start to put things into place and realize what works, what doesn't work, and develop. So we go back to Dexter's story here now. And now Dexter's pretty much into his new habits. He's enjoying himself. He's also monitoring and tracking his progress to see that he's getting better. This helps motivate him. Now, in business, this is another area where when developing a change program, either the maintenance stage isn't planned properly or it's completely skipped. And once we've launched a project, we move on to the next thing. So one day, Dexter becomes ill. He gets a cold, so he skips the gym, and he also orders himself a takeaway. Dexter's actually moved back into some of his old habits. But this isn't failure, this is feedback. Another thing that businesses need to understand, that even in the maintenance period, there will be lapses. But that should not be treated as failure. It should be treated as an opportunity to learn. So just think about how well does that story and experience of Dexter's actually resonate with you? Resonates with me quite a lot, because actually, if you hadn't already figured it out, Dexter is me. So how do we now take the GIRI approach and see how it fits into the stages of change model? Well, the industry and organizations start in pre-contemplation mode. We don't even realize there's a problem that needs solving. And this is where the GIRI research, identifying that approximately 21% of project costs is due to error, then surely that's enough of a nudge to move us into contemplation stage. Then, in contemplation stage, the GIRI research and the GIRI tools and the guidance that's available helps us to understand the benefits of reducing the cost of error. In fact, the fact that we have 21% cost of error is also 21% of possible opportunity. So we'll move into the preparation stage, and this is where the GIRI workshops, initial workshops, really help people in the organization engage with the whole process, moving us to action stage where we introduce the GIRI workshops, getting everybody involved throughout the project life cycle, and of course explaining the need for change. Which moves us into maintenance stage, and this is where we take the GIRI language of press pause to avoid error, build it in your brain, and we build that into our daily language. We also take tools like the pre-mortem and build those into the way we work. Always recognizing that there will be lapses, and those lapses are opportunities to learn and improve. It's all part of the continual improvement cycle. So, if we just recap on this then, change is not an event. It's a journey. We can't miss out those early stages of thinking. We shouldn't assume that communicating relates to commitment, or that rollout relates to reinforcement and a sustainable program. What we need to do is involve everybody from the very start of the process. Because you own what you help to create, you'll get better answers and a more sustainable program. And this is what GIRI is all about. It's about getting it right first time, but not only getting it right first time, but striving to get it right every time. Thank you.